The case of Cameron Todd Willingham has sparked a nationwide debate. The question, did Texas execute an innocent man? And
was the arson investigation that helped convict him fatally flawed? Fox 4's Richard Ray travels to the scene of the crime, CORSICANA, and finds there are no easy answers to those questions.
I was 18 years old. I was walking down this way, and when we get this way, we see a bunch of smoke.
Most in the neighborhood are gone now, but Tony Ayala says he was there that December morning in 1991, before firefighters arrived, watching Cameron Todd Willingham outside the burning house on 11th Avenue.
And the only time he ran in that house or tried to get in the house when he heard the fire department, everybody pulled up.
2 videotapes were shot on the day of the fire, the rubble still smoking. One by an assistant fire chief, the other by a police detective.
This was the bed where the 2-year-old was found in the middle of the bed.
We were standing about right here.
Tony Ayala was not interviewed by police until just recently, but the story he tells is corroborated by what other witnesses testified to at Willingham's murder trial.
Not one time did he try to go in that house and get them kids.
There was charring underneath, indicating the fire was underneath the bed.
The way Tony Ayala tells it, Willingham was more intent on saving his car than his kids, pushing it away from the burning house. Neighbors had seen him abuse his wife and children in the past, something well documented in testimony from other witnesses.
This guy had an anger problem. There was a guy named Jerry who used to live in a 2-story house over here who he used to get into it with this guy all the time about him mistreating his wife and talking bad to his kids.
A firefighter testified that Willingham showed no grief over his children's death, but became upset upon discovering his dartboard was burned.
He had me crying more than he was out there crying. I was hurt for these kids because I seen all these kids out there and it was in cold weather, they were singed up, you know. And it was a bad deal. I mean, the way they make it sound like it was accidental and that they put the wrong man down, no.
Indication that something penetrated that down to the hardwood floor.
A combustible liquid, lighter fluid, the fire investigator concluded, had caused pooling burn patterns on the floor. Willingham, with a lengthy record for theft and substance abuse crimes, was arrested 2 weeks later for murder. In April 1992, Willingham took a polygraph and failed it. Deception indicated. At trial, the testimony of local and state fire investigators was key evidence. But nearly 2 decades later, a growing chorus of forensic experts is finding fault with that original fire investigation, rejecting its conclusion that it was arson, arguing that investigators relied on folklore and junk science. This whole debate has pulled the curtain back on a growing chasm between the old-school fire investigators, many of whom come out of firefighting backgrounds, and a new breed of college-educated forensic scientists who say the old methods are outdated and often reach the wrong conclusion.
When this thing pretty much flashed over and blew out the windows.
Corsicana's city attorney and its fire chief are relative newcomers to the case. They were not part of the original investigation, but they are challenging the conclusions of an expert hired by the Texas Forensic Science Commission. They accept his premise that the original arson investigation was flawed, but not the assertion that Texas executed an innocent man. In fact, the recent examinations by forensic experts do not conclude the cause of the fire was accidental, but undetermined.
People did what they were trained to do with the information that was available during that period.
Would you agree that we need better training in our arson investigators?
As times change and materials change, you know, the whole fire science spectrum changes. So yes, I think we do need to progress in that area.
Stacy Willingham was away buying Christmas presents that morning and initially supported her husband's claims of innocence. Today she's working at a local hospital, declining to talk about the case. But days before his execution, she visited Willingham on death row, afterward telling the Corsicana Daily Sun that she feared him and had become convinced of his guilt. "I'll never get over what he did to my kids," she told the local newspaper. A sworn affidavit from Stacy's brother goes further. He told police that Stacy met with other family members after her visit to death row, telling them that Cameron had confessed. He told her that he'd set the fire because he knew that she was going to leave him.
There's evidence in the trial transcript he was guilty. If you read the witness statements, there's a lot of evidence that wasn't used at trial that also points for guilt. He had an appeal to the Waco Court of Appeals. He went to the Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin and had multiple federal appeals. He got due process. I mean, he was found guilty.
Opponents of the death penalty have seized upon the case, often citing Willingham's final statement before his execution. I am an innocent man convicted of a crime I did not commit. I have been persecuted for 12 years for something I did not do. From God's dust I came, and to dust I will return. But Willingham's final words were directed at Stacy, telling her more than once, I hope you rot in hell.
So bottom line, did Texas execute an innocent man? The answer to that question is not black and white. There are a lot of shades of gray to the story of Cameron Todd Willingham. In Corsicana, Richard Ray, Fox 4 News.